I can't think of an intro. Hello to all my wonderful cheese balls out there, and welcome back to another episode of Cheese and Crackers. Childhood. It gets thrown around a lot these days, but when it comes from here, that feeling of nostalgia just takes you back to your happy place. So I figured today that we're going to be looking at my top 20 childhood games. This was originally going to be a top 10 video, but when it comes with childhood games, top 10 is just not gonna cut it. The way how this will work is I'll go through the numbers 20 to 11, then in next week or two, we're gonna take a look at the numbers from number 10 all the way to number 1. Maybe I'll do one game per franchise, but we're just gonna have to wait and see. And also, I'm not saying these games are some of the best games of all time, but these are just some of my personal childhood games that I remember and enjoying growing up as a kid. So with that said, let's relive my childhood as we start off with number 20. Wow, I nearly said number 10. I've said this before and I'll say this again. When it comes to us Australians, we sure do love our rugby league. And I sure do love this game. NRL Rugby League was the first NRL game I ever played, but also the first NRL game ever made for consoles releasing on PlayStation 2, Xbox, and Microsoft Windows. I remember back in the day playing this game at my uncle's house, choosing to play as the Bulldogs facing against the West Tigers, and because I didn't know how to play, I got my ass beaten with ruthless shoulder tackles. One day, I wanted to get this game back just for nostalgia, and man, it feels good to hold this game in my hands. While it may not be the best NRL game out there due to being the first installment, and its younger siblings retuning the series to make it a much more better experience, I always do get a smile on my face every time I boot this game up.
We've been shearing sheep, we've been mustering stock, we've been culling out roofs, we've been spraying the crops.
Moving on from one Australian sport to another is V8 Supercars Race Driver. Man, that's a pretty long name for a video game. Because of my enjoyment for racing games as previously mentioned, of course I had to get this game for myself. I didn't know much about storytelling back in the day, but seeing the intro now, I'm immediately hooked on to this game. The cars control pretty well for its time, and the locations for the racetracks are cool as well. My favourite track has to be the same track that my dad likes, Bathurst. Going into this game now, I'm surprised that not many people remembers this game, and I hope in the future this game gets some more recognition, because it deserves it. Now it may sound a bit odd putting Super Mario 64, one of the best games on the Nintendo 64, at a low number in number 18, but I did only play this game for 30 minutes or so. But those 30 minutes were mesmerizing, so I had to put this game on the list. It was the first N64 game I ever played, and one of the sole reasons why I wanted an N64 console for myself. Yeah, I only played this game back at a place called the Cubby House where kids can take part in a lot of different activities while parents can get some alone time. Video games were one of those activities, so I always went over to that area. It was there where I was introduced to Mario for the very first time. A plumber who wears a thick moustache and tries to save Princess Peach. for the 10th million bloody time. Seriously, doesn't Peach know that restraining orders is a thing? So Peach could just easily put one on Bowser. Bowser. Bowser Bay. Next up on the agenda is Halo, and trust me, you're not a true Xbox fan if you haven't played Halo yet. While I didn't play the campaign as a child, but I mostly played Halo for the multiplayer experience. Me, my brother, and our cousins, and our cousins all came together in one room and played some Halo multiplayer. We must have spent hours upon hours into Halo, because last time we saw the sky, it was bright morning. But once we checked the sky out again, it was pitch dark and the stars were out. Meaning that we must have had a fun time together, bonding with each other, and we had Halo to thank for. Fuck yes. Power Rangers was my jam back in the day. Sure, it can be weird and wacky, but that's what I like about it. Lightspeed Rescue might be the first Power Rangers show I've watched, and Mighty Morphin might be my favorite Power Rangers show, but Time Force was the first Power Rangers game I've played. And I'm kinda glad I gave it a go. Does this game hold up today? Well, honestly, no fat chance. Looking at it now, it is a pretty mediocre game, filled with some terrible platforming and the constant repeating lines of, I gotta be more careful. Even though this game hasn't aged well, but I will remember the fun times I had with this game when I was in my childhood. Now you've heard me talk about Flatout 2 time and time again because of how fun it is to smash and crash against other cars, so I'll try not to repeat myself. But man, what else do I need to say about this game? The controls are okay, and it does work in the environment that Flatout 2 has, so it can get a free pass. And out of all the racing games out there, I've put it in more hours into Flatout 2 than any other racing game. And yes, that does include Crash Team Racing. And that is because this game is good. Good soundtrack, good track design, everything about this game screams good, and I'm glad I've played this game. There's only 3 words to describe this game. Mother fucking Kratos. Arguably one of the most badass characters to ever be seen in a video game, and if it wasn't for God of War 2, I wouldn't understand the hype around him. Nevertheless, God of War 2 is, you guessed it, the first God of War game I ever played. I wasn't really good at playing it back in the day, but once I had more knowledge and knew what God of War is, I manned up, grew a couple of pairs, and ran through this game almost like cutting through butter. Smooth, clean, and satisfying. It's definitely a game I love playing and replaying time after time. I want to talk about racing games, I need to bring this game up. One of my first racing games I ever got to play, and this game taught me when's the best time to break your engines to drive around a corner. I wasn't the best at playing Colin McRae's Rally, and honestly, I'm still working on it. It was pretty cool for me just how much detail there is in this game, and for a PlayStation 1 title, it is saying a lot. Sometimes I wouldn't care about winning the race as because the details and visuals are great. I always like to stop and look around. Another reason why I wanted to keep on playing video games even more. Oh wait, I've already said that before. Oh well, what's number 12? Number 12 is a Disney platform game known as Lilo and Stitch: Trouble in Paradise. Back in the day, I was a huge fan of Disney movies. Sure, most of them are bland and uninspiring, but when you see great characters along with a fantastic story, it's frickin' awesome. And when I saw this game on shelves, I just had to get this game because of my enjoyment for the Lilo and Stitch movie. When I look at it now, I can see some resemblance with the Crash Bandicoot series, and it does share its own problems, but as a kid, this game was the peanut butter to my jam sandwich. No tuna included because it would have been an abomination. See what I did there?
It's fish!
Now, this would be the part where I would say, here is a few honorable mentions, but what do you expect? It's a top 20 video. Okay, fine. I'll add in one honorable mention. Just one, but nothing more. Okay, let's see. What game should I select? Spyro Enter the Dragonfly. I'm joking. Calm yourselves. Does anyone remember Stuart Little? Because he was a pretty popular character back in the day. The first movie was okay, the second one was better, and the third installment was straight to DVD, so I'm guessing you'll know how that turned out. But between those movies was a video game called Stuart Little 2. It takes some gameplay elements from what made Super Mario 64 successful, and tweaked it a bit to make their own version.
But with Stuart Little.
It is pretty cool to explore around different places, making you feel like a mouse, and there's a lot of things to do and stuff to collect, which never gets boring. Honestly, if you love PS1 3D platform games, this is one of those games you need to have in your arsenal of video games. And that was part 1 of my top 20 childhood video games. Be sure to stick around for the second part, and until next time, thank you for watching this video, and if you enjoyed it, make sure to leave a like, share the video, and subscribe today. My name's I nearly said gaming critic, fuck's sake. My name's Cheese and Crackers, telling you to keep calm and keep playing video games.